Right. Um, the, this is the continuation of good evening. This is the continuation of thermal power station. In the previous lecture, I have explained about the parts of the thermal power station. I have explained in detail the line diagram of thermal power station. I mean, what all the components are involved in thermal power station, how the operation of thermal power station is being done. Okay, all these we have covered. Not only this, I mean, what is the importance of various components of power station? I mean, what are the main components of thermal power station? What are the additional components which are helping the main components? I have explained. And what are other additional, I mean, small, I mean, other like miscellaneous components also I have explained regarding thermal power station. In this class also we will deal with thermal power stations. The remaining part of the thermal power stations will be completed or covered in this class. Okay, let us start with the various components of thermal power station. Means a thermal power station, it is a huge unit. It is not a small one. It's a huge unit. It is a combination. I mean, it is a club or group of all the subcomponents or what all are present. I will read. Okay, there is a coal handling plant, there is coal pulverization plant, there is boiler, there is ash handling plant. Okay, and along with this boiler, ash handling plant. Right, coming to steam turbine, condenser, cooling towers, feed water heater, superheater. What is a feed water heater? I will tell. After that, economizer, air preheater, alternator, exciter, and instrumentation. Instrumentation is, I mean, what all the components additional are involved. I mean, how we are clubbing, and exciter is connected to what. Okay, along with this, what are all are the components which are using, that will come under the part of instrumentation. Coming to working of thermal power station. Right, I told I will explain about feed water heater. Okay, what is feed water? Is the water which is fed to the boiler is known as feed water. Usually boiler is not directly given raw water. The water is treated. I mean various treatments are done on the water, and after that, that water is called as a feed water. That water is given to the boiler. So it is, so that is the name, that it is named as feed water. Not only feed water, before giving to our boiler also we will heat the water. I mean, like LP water heaters and HP water heaters are there. Okay, these are called as feed water heaters. Next is working of thermal power plant. Okay, right, I will explain how a thermal power plant works. Coal is transported to powerhouse and then it is stored in cold storage plants. Right, first I mean, I have already told that what are Singareni collieries or where we have coal mines. I mean, might be your thermal power station will be nearer to the to coal mines, or it may be far away from coal mines. Wherever the coal mines may be, okay, you need to transport the coal. If it is nearer, the transportation will be less. If it is far away, again you need to search roadways or railways, like we use goods train etc for transportation of coal through rail. Right, so this coal is transported to powerhouse. I mean, you store coal at the powerhouse. Okay, and then it is stored at cold storage plant. In cold storage plant, this coal is stored. It is first transported and it is stored to cold storage plant. After storing the coal in thermal power plant, okay, in cold storage unit, as you store the coal, it is pulverized. Pulverization means the process of breakdown of coal or turning off coal into fine pieces. I mean, as you we have coal, small blocks of coal, that coal will be crushed or it will be turned into fine pieces, which is called as the process of pulverization of coal. This pulverization, I mean, why we do this is, we do this pulverization of coal in order to get, I mean, more energy, in order to extract more energy from the specific energy consumption. I mean, the energy which is liberated by the, I mean, energy liberated or heat liberated by the coal will increase. Okay, the calories which are liberated by burning the coal will be increased. So so we do the pulverization of calorific value of the coal will increase. So this is known as pulverization. In order to increase the calorific value of coal, we are trying to pulverize the coal. It is pulverized, the coal is pulverized. This coal is fed to the boiler through conveyor belt. In the last slide, I have told that there is a conveyor belt. I mean, it is like a ladder. This conveyor belt is connected from coal storage plant to, it will be connected to boiler. I mean, there will be a lot of distance, so they will pass the coal through a conveyor belt. In that conveyor belt, the coal will be allowed to pass, and it reaches the boiler. In boiler, what happens is, in boiler the water is converted into steam by utilizing the heat of coal combustion. Right. The main parts, or the main the main fuel, the main thing which is required in power plant is coal and water. Okay, as we are generating heat, we are getting heat, or thermal energy is we are getting by burning the water into steam. I mean, by changing, but by heating the water, and we are converting it into steam. So we need water, and in order to convert water into steam, we require coal. So in the boiler, the water is converted into steam by utilizing the heat of coal combustion. Right. By doing the combustion of coal, we are trying to convert water into steam. Okay. So in this way, we are generating steam or thermal energy. Right. Next is working of thermal power station. Steam is further superheated at superheater, right? I have already told that there are some additional components which which are which help in increasing the temperature of the steam. Steam is further heated. Steam means what? Steam is only a vapor. In order to get, a very high temperature steam, in order to get steam at a high temperature, we try to pass it through a superheater. Okay, again this superheater also, I mean, it will increases the temperature of the steam. Whatever the heat of which the superheater adds to the steam, is this superheater gets the heat from the flue gases. Means the flue gases are allowed to pass through the superheater, so that superheater will extract some heat from the flue gases, and it will transfer the heat to the steam which is passing, uh, which is allowed to pass through the superheater. Right. And after superheater, the steam is passed through the blades of the turbine. Next, turbine again converts the thermal energy of steam into mechanical energy. I have told that turbine is a converter. I mean, it will convert. Turbine is also a machine which converts one form of energy to another form of energy. Okay, so turbine also converts a steam energy or thermal energy into mechanical energy. What is turbine? Turbine drives the alternator. Why? Because alternator requires mechanical energy. Directly we can't give the steam energy to alternator. Why? Because alternator will not take steam or thermal energy. It will only take mechanical energy as input. So in order to get mechanical energy as input for the alternator, we need to connect a turbine in between this superheater and alternator. We need to have a turbine. This turbine converts steam energy or thermal energy into mechanical energy, and your alternator converts mechanical energy into electrical energy. This mechanical energy is provided by the turbine as an input to the alternator. Turbine drives the coupled alternator which produces the electrical power, and your alternator produces electrical energy. Right. Coming to this working of thermal power station. Right. Steam is further heated at superheater and passed through turbine blades. I have told that in superheater again steam is further heated. Already water is converted into vapor or steam. This steam is again, again the temperature of the steam is increased, and this steam is allowed to pass through the blades of the turbine. This turbine blades, or whenever the steam is focused on the blades of the turbine, right? Turbine converts the thermal energy of steam into mechanical energy. This turbine, as steam is allowed to focus on the blades of the turbine, I mean, based on the motion of the steam, I mean, based on the way the steam is allowed to pass, right, the blades of the turbine start rotating. Right, this turbine drives the coupled alternator which produces the electrical power. Again, this turbine drives the coupled alternator. This turbine is coupled to the alternator. This turbine drives the coupled alternator which produces electrical power. Steam after working in turbine is collected, right? After turbine, what happens? Whatever the steam you give to turbine, maximum of the steam will be allowed to rotate the blades of the turbine. Some amount of steam will be, I mean, some amount of steam, I think it may not touch the blades of the turbine properly. Like that, whatever the steam it is there, or some amount of steam may get reflected. Okay, whatever it is there, the leftover steam or the I mean the steam which is not utilized by the blades of the turbine, definitely that steam is called as exhausted steam. That will move, that will come to the end of the turbine, and this exhausted steam is collected in a condenser and condensed with the help of a cooling water, right? I have already explained about condenser in detail. What happens is at the end of the turbine, suppose that this is the turbine. At the end of the turbine, exhausted steam will be collected, and here you will have a condenser. So this exhausted steam is collected in the condenser. In condenser, right? In this condenser, you will allow cooling water. I mean, with the help of cooling water arrangement. I mean, either it may be natural method of condensation, or it may be artificial method of condensation. Whatever may be the method of condensation, I mean the your exhausted steam will be again converted into feed water, or it will be converted into liquid. Okay, right. Next is the condensed water is supplied to pressure heater and then to high pressure heater. I told that whatever the water which is condensed in the condenser, okay, this water is supplied to pressure heater. Again, you have two pressure heaters. One is low pressure water heater. That second one is high pressure water heater. Right. Whatever the steam which is condensed, okay, I mean, condensation of steam means steam will get converted into liquid. Why? Because we are providing a cool medium around the steam. Around, suppose that this is the steam, we are allowing a cool medium around the steam, so that this steam will get converted into liquid. Right, after the steam getting converted into liquid, what happens is this condensed water is supplied to pressure heater. Okay, this condensed water is given to low pressure heater. Okay, and then it is given to high pressure heater. Okay, the cooling water after receiving heat from condenser, right? This cooling water after receiving heat from the condenser, right? And you will have cooling water around the tubes of the conductor. Around the tubes of the condenser, across, I mean, through the condenser tubes, we will allow exhausted steam, right? As we are passing cooling water around the tubes of the conductor of the condenser, what you do is the cooling water after receiving the heat from the condenser, okay, right, after receiving the heat from the condenser, right, the cooling water after receiving the heat from the condenser, this cooling water will the temperature of this cooling water also increases. I mean, which cooling water? The cooling water which is allowed to pass around the tubes of the condenser, that cooling water temperature also rises. So this water also should be cooled down. Why? Because the same water only will be circulated repeatedly. So you need to cool down this water which is being circulated around the tubes of the condenser. So again, this water is passed through the cooling towers and lost, and this and heat is lost, and again this water is circulated. The electrical power from the alternator is supplied to grid. Right, the electrical power whatever is generated from the alternator, it is supplied to the grid through station transformer. I have already told that, I mean, thermal power stations are usually located at outskirts, and we can't tell that where the electricity demand is more, or where we require power. We can't tell. So usually they'll try to transmit the power as they are as these power plants are far away from the public areas. So they'll try to have a transformer, or the power station will have a transformer which is called a station transformer. Okay, with the help of the station transformer, they'll try to increase the level of voltage, or they'll try to step up the voltage, and they'll try to transmit. And again at the receiving station, again they'll step down, and based on their needs, or if it is required for industrial purposes, okay, they'll give three phases. If they are requiring domestic application, they'll give single phase. Okay, right. And next is coming to the next slide. What is coal handling plant? Okay, here they have given the photo of coal handling power plant. I told that coal storage, there are two plants. One is coal storage plant, second is coal handling plant. The first is coal storage plant, means you are digging the coal from the mines, you are transporting the coal, you are bringing it, and you are trying to store it in a proper place. Okay, I mean proper place means the area should be dry. Okay, I mean you should have the moisture content should be less, so that the coal also should be dry. And I mean, even if any rain comes, everything, I mean, from water, from any type of water, or from rain water, this coal storage plant should be safe, so that whatever the coal which is there in the coal storage plant, it will be safe. Okay, right. In coal handling plant, coal is transported to thermal power stations from coal mines. Right. What happens in coal handling plant is coal is pulverized by using high machines. I told that pulverization is the process of crushing down of coal blocks. Okay, or coal pieces into fine powder is known as pulverization. So this process is done by using high power machines. Okay, the whole I mean, in coal handling plant also you have a lot of machinery. Using this machinery only, this the this blocks of coal are reduced into fine pieces of coal. This pulverized coal is then conveyed to the boiler through conveyor belts. Right now, this pulverized coal, or the the finely crushed coal, is then conveyed to the boiler through conveyor belts. I have already told that we are having a conveyor belt from the coal handling plant to boiler. So by using the conveyor, you are trying to conveyor belt, you are trying to transport the pulverized coal from coal handling plant to the boiler. See, they are trying to say there is a long ladder type thing. Okay, in diagonal shape. I mean, on the left side you are having coal handling plant. On the right side you are having boiler. You are trying to transport the coal from coal handling plant to the boiler. Right. This is coal conveyor belt. Okay, in this coal conveyor belt, coal handling plant, both are shown. Right. Next is coming to the main parts of the thermal power plant. Okay, right. If you study these parts of thermal power plant in detail or perfectly, if you come to know these parts, then it is enough. The remaining are the additional parts for the thermal power station. If these are clearly understood, definitely the remaining parts will be linked to this. So you can easily understand the remaining parts if you get to know what are the parts which I am going to explain in this slide. Right, the main parts of a thermal power plant are boiler, superheater, economizer, air preheater, steam turbine, condenser. Okay, there are 6 parts. Okay, boiler, superheater, economizer, air preheater, alternator, condenser, turbine. Right. Alternator. This is the 7th part. Right. In this, they have in this it is another diagram. Here also they are showing some important things only. Here APH means air preheater. Okay. That coal pulverization is being done, and again you are sending it to boiler. Okay, from boiler it is sent to superheater, and from superheater to economizer. Exhaust steam is taken out from the turbine, and again flue gases, right, air preheater is there, and again fan. Okay, right. Fan, ambient air, APH is air preheater. Right. Coming to the working of boiler. A boiler is a device where water is converted into steam by utilizing the heat of combustion. Right. Boiling means the change of a liquid or change of water into vapor is known as boiling. Usually water boils at 100 degrees centigrade. A boiler is a device where water is converted into steam by utilizing the heat of combustion. Heat of combustion means you are trying to burn the coal, which is called as combustion. Again, you are trying to burn the coal means you should burn the coal in presence of oxygen. For the presence of oxygen, you are trying to pass air by using forced draught fan, which is called as FD fan. Right. On the right side, a big huge structure of boiler. A huge boiler is being shown. Okay, this is the photo. This is about a boiler, how a boiler works, or how a boiler looks like. Right. Next is, again there are two types of boilers. One is fire tube boilers and second is water tube boilers. Okay, usually we are using water tube boilers. Means boiler means directly we don't have directly there will be a big tank. We will pour water, we will heat. This all will not happen. We may expect like that, but it will not happen. What happens in a boiler is, a boiler also has tubes. Okay, through the tubes water is allowed to pass. Okay, as the water is allowed to pass through the tubes inside the boiler. Okay, down the boiler you will have the setup or arrangement of combustion. Okay, so I mean the as combustion you are as the combustion compartment is also there itself in boiler. As the temperature, as combustion is going on, the temperature of the boiler increases. Whatever in the tubes, whatever the water is there, definitely the temperature of the water rises. Based on the combustion energy or based on the heat produced by the combustion, the water will change its state, or the water will get converted into steam. The water which is there in tubes of the boiler will get converted into steam. So through from the tubes you are trying to pass water, and inside the boiler furnace, inside the boiler, this furnace arrangement you are trying to maintain. Right. Again, there is another type of boiler which is known as fire tube boiler. Means, I mean, in the boiler water will be there. Okay, from the tubes you will try to allow fire, but that is not a safe method, or I mean, that is not much advantageous over water tube boilers. It has more disadvantages. So fire tube boilers are not adopted. Why? Because the tubes get damaged easily. Okay, it will, I mean, again the repair of boiler or the repair of the tubes will take a lot of time. So better they will try to use water tube boilers. That is only they have given. Water tube boiler is used universally in thermal power stations. In thermal power stations, water tube boilers are universally used. Means all they were almost at all the places in thermal power stations, water tube boilers are only adopted. Right. Coming to the superheater, a superheater is right. Superheater means it again increases the temperature of the steam. Boiler boils the water. Okay, again, whatever the steam which is coming out of the boiler is given to superheater. Superheater again increases the temperature of the steam. A superheater is a device which raises the temperature of the steam to remove the water particles present in the steam. Right. And in the boiler, even though in steam there will be some water particles. So in order to remove that water particles, or in order to in order to convert this semi-liquid steam into pure steam, you will try to pass the semi-liquid steam in through superheater. Right. It is made up of group of tubes of steel special alloy steel such as chromium and molybdenum. Right. As these tubes are exposed to a high temperature, are exposed to high temperatures, Usually tough materials are taken. Usually chromium and molybdenum are taken for designing the tubes of the superheater. You use chromium and molybdenum, right? Here they have I mean inside the top, below the top cover, some set of tubes are being shown that are called as the tubes of the superheater. The superheater is a device which raises the temperature of the steam to remove the water particles, water particles present in the steam. Right, it is made up of group of tubes of special alloys which are chromium and molybdenum. Again, types of superheaters. There are again two types of superheaters: radiant type of superheater, convection type of superheater. Okay, depending on the requirement, usually they use radiant or convection type of superheaters. Okay, this is the photo for superheater. Again, boiler is also made up of tubes, superheater is also made up of tubes. Okay, right. Next is working of economizer. Right, coming to the next part, which is called as economizer. Economizer means it will reduce some cost. Okay, it will aid. Economizer and air preheater are the accessories for boiler. Okay, they increase the efficiency of the boiler. So what does economizer does? Let us see. Okay, the main function of economizer is to increase the temperature of feed water by utilizing the heat from hot flue gases. Right, economizer, air preheater use the heat of flue gases. Okay, what are flue gases? Flue gases come out of boiler. I mean, flue gases are the waste gases which should be given to the chimney. Okay, this boiler should eliminate these gases to or should remove the gases from the boiler compartment. Okay, these flue gases are liberated during the period of combustion. These flue gases uh, should be passed into the atmosphere or should be expelled from the thermal power station through chimney. So, I mean, instead of directly passing this flue gases to chimney, we are trying to pass these flue gases from the boiler. As these flue gases are getting released through chimney, so in between, these flue gases are allowed to pass through the economizer and air preheater and superheater. These three, the temperature of the flue gases will help superheater, economizer, and air preheater. How they will help economizer? Let us see. The main function of economizer is to increase the temperature of feed water by utilizing the heat from hot flue gases. As these flue gases are coming out from boiler, these flue gases will have a high temperature. Okay, flue gases will have a high temperature. So these flue gases are allowed to pass through economizer. What does economizer does is economizer will supply feed water to the boiler. Okay, right. As economizer will supply feed water to the boiler, so as the water enters into the boiler, as the water enters into the as the feed water enters into the boiler, before entering as the feed water before entering into the boiler, the temperature of the feed water, in order to increase this temperature of feed water to some extent, pass the we will try to pass the flue gases through economizer. Right. The main function of economizer is to increase the temperature of feed water. Means this economizer increases the temperature of the feed water. Okay. How it increases the temperature of the feed water means it will take the heat energy from the hot flue gases which are released by the boiler. Okay, by utilizing the heat from hot flue gases, the economizer will increase the temperature of the feed water which is being passed through it. Right. Coming to air preheater, right. The air preheater extracts heat from the flue gases and gives it to the air preheater extracts heat from the flue gases and give it to the air being supplied to the furnace for cold combustion. Right. Again, this flue gases are allowed to pass through air preheater also. This air preheater extracts the heat from the flue gases. Okay. And this air preheater extracts this heat from the hot flue gases uh, and it will heat and it will heat the air which is being drawn by forced draught fan from the atmosphere. Whatever the air is drawn by for FD fan, that air the temperature of that air is increased by using air preheater, and the increase in temperature is achieved, or the increase in temperature is done by the heat which is taken from hot flue gases which are expelled, or which are the byproducts of the combustion which is taking place in boiler. There are again two types of air preheaters. One is recuperative air heater. Second is regenerative air heater. Right. Again, they are trying to show FG is flue gases. Right. Air is outward air, is whatever it is. This is outward air, and flue gases means both are opposite to one another. By using the temperature of this flue gases, we are trying to preheat. We are trying to preheat the air. Right. Next is, this is the diagram for air preheater. Next is coming to working of steam turbine. Right, I have already told that. See, this is the picture which is showing the steam turbine. Right, working of steam turbine is, it is a rotating machine which converts heat energy of steam energy in heat energy or steam energy into mechanical energy. Okay, this will try to steam turbine will convert steam energy or thermal energy into mechanical energy. Again, there are three types of steam turbines. First one is impulse turbine, second one is reaction turbine, third one is impulse reaction turbine. Okay, again there are three types of steam turbines. I have already previously only I have told, based on the way in which the steam is allowed to the steam is flown. I mean, the steam enters into the steam turbine. Okay, axial flow, radial flow, axial radial flow, mixed flow. Okay, based on this types, your turbines are classified as impulse turbine, reaction turbine, and impulse reaction turbine. Right, coming to the condenser. Right, the main reason why the thermal power plant efficiency is less because of condenser. Why? Because the condenser is the part where, I mean, where the complete temperature of the heat, the temperature of the steam is completely brought down. Okay, so this is the part where, I mean, this is the part where maximum of the energy is lost. So this is the reason why thermal power plant has, I mean, condenser is one of the reason why the efficiency of the thermal power plant is very less. Right, working of condenser, it is a device which receives exhaust steam from turbine and condensate it. Condensation means the process of cooling down is known as condensation. Okay, I mean, like how the temperature cools down in the atmosphere, how the temperature cools down. Okay, that is known as the process of condensation. Right, what is the purpose of condenser here in a thermal power plant is, whatever the exhausted steam which is obtained at the end of the turbine, uh, this exhausted stream is allowed to pass through the condenser. This condenser improves the, right, power plant efficiency. Right, the condenser improves. Right. I think whatever I have told that, I mean, in the while starting this slide, I told that, I mean, why the power plant efficiency is less is because of the condenser. But here in PPT it is given condenser improves the power plant efficiency. I'll give a clarification on this. Okay, right. Next is types of condensers. I mean, what are the types of condensers which we are using are jet type of condenser and surface type of condenser. Here also, you at the right side you are having a typical power plant condenser. It is being shown. So in this clearly they are giving in this clearly they are giving circulating at left you are having, if we are having circulating inlet water. Okay, again the water is getting passed through the steam is getting passed through the tubes. Okay, again water is passed up in between them. Okay, and slowly at output again circulating outlet water. Okay, right, from here to here water is getting circulated like this. In between you are having tubes. Okay, inside the tubes whatever the steam which is there, the exhausted steam, the temperature of the steam of the exhausted steam lowers. Okay, and it is converted into liquid, and that water is supplied to the boiler as feed water. Right. And this water doesn't require any type of water treatment. Why? Because already this water is a pure form of water which you are getting. I mean, all the process of this of this for this exhausted stream, all the process. I mean, all the water or the all the treatment of water, everything is done. So no need to perform any water treatment for this. Directly you can feed it to the boiler. Okay, through economizer, as economizer increases the temperature of the feed water which is being supplied to the boiler. Right, coming to the alternators, the generators coupled to steam turbines are called as turbo alternators. Right, turbo means high speed alternators. So obviously thermal power plants are connected to thermal and nuclear power plants will be given, or in thermal or nuclear power stations the alternators whatever we used are high speed alternators. Right, what is alternator is it converts mechanical energy of turbine into electrical energy. Alternators convert mechanical energy into electrical energy. Again, what are the salient features of alternators? Means in alternators again there are two types. One is salient pole and other is non-salient pole. Obviously, high speed or turbo alternators means we use only non-salient poles. Means you don't have projections outside them. Okay, you have the projections are made inside the rotor only. Okay, which are called as non-salient or cylindrical type of rotor. Usually you are having two poles. Why? Because in order to obtain high speeds you need to have less number of poles, as ns is 120 f by p. If the number of poles are less, the synchronous speed of the alternator will be very high. Okay, right, usually the ratings of these alternators are 500 megawatts and above. Alternators are forced hydrogen cooled. Right, all the thermal power plants usually they will try to cool, I mean, whatever the heat energy which will be liberated in the alternator. I mean you need to have a proper cooling medium also, you know, I mean, in order to sustain I square r loss. Okay, in order to uh, reduce the heat liberated by I square R loss. So the alternators of these high rating are force hydrogen cooled. Right. In all the thermal power plants, we use forced hydrogen cooling. Why? Because natural cooling won't be sufficient, and hydrogen gas, and by using hydrogen gas for cooling purpose, we can cool the we can reduce the heat, we can reduce the heat energy liberated by the losses very easily. Okay, so we use forced hydrogen cooling. Okay, in order to increase the efficiency of the system also. Right, next is coming to feed water. What is feed water is the steam coming out from the turbine is condensed and fed back to the boiler, which is known as feed water. What is feed water is the water which you are trying to feed it to the boiler is called as feed water. Okay, Even you also feed the water which is coming out from the turbine, that is exhausted or the leftover steam is converted into liquid. This liquid is again passed through low pressure heater and high pressure heater, and again it is given to the boiler, which is known as feed water. It is necessary to heat the feed water before feeding to the boiler. Right, this feed water again should be heated before feeding to the boiler. Okay, why? Because the temperature of the feed water also should be increased. Okay, so I mean we will allow the this feed water to pass through the economizer. After economizer, the water will be given to the boiler. Right? What are the reason? Some of the reasons are, why, what happens in boiler water. It is necessary to heat the feed water before feeding it to the boiler. Right? Why the temperature of the water should be increased before giving it to the boiler means, right, the boiler gets easily corroded. Okay, again erosion means the blade, I mean, the tubes of the boiler, the turbine blades, condenser tubes will get easily eroded, or they will get damaged easily if you are allowing, cool water to pass through the boiler. So, in order to decrease the corrosion and erosion, you will try to increase the temperature of the feed water which you are giving it to the boiler. Let's say from a boiler, it is given to turbine. From turbine, whatever the leftover steam is there, okay, whatever the leftover steam is there, it is given, this leftover steam is given to the condenser. From condenser, again you are giving it to feed water pump. From again feed water heater, it is given to feed water heater. From feed water heater, it is given to boiler. Again feed water heater, feed water heater means you are trying to increase the temperature of the feed water before giving it to the boiler. Again blockages, even blockages also will arise if you are giving low normal temperature feed water to the boiler. So for this purpose, we increase the temperature of the feed water. Again cooling water circuit. Okay, cooling types of cooling towers, there are again two types of cooling towers. Okay, induced draft cooling tower, forced draft cooling tower. Induced draft cooling tower means this is a negative pressure type of cooling tower. Forced draft cooling tower means it is a positive positive pressure type cooling tower. Induced draft means whatever the heat energy, whatever it is liberated, it will be expelled out from the cooling tower. Forced draft means from outside atmosphere or from outside air, in the water will be the air will be dragged, or the air will be taken, and the inside the cooling tower and inside the tubes of the cooling tower, the water will be cooled down. Okay, by taking the cool water from the atmosphere, we try to cool the water inside the cooling tower. Right, this is induced draft cooling tower and forced draft cooling tower. Exciters. Exciters are nothing but DC generators. Already, I think in last video I have told one or two lines regarding exciters. Exciter means, again, why we need to have exciter is, whatever the rotor, whatever the turbine which you are coupling to the rotor, it will rotate the rotor. Okay, but rotor should be given to some DC supply. Okay, exciters are just nothing but DC generators. Okay, DC generators means what they convert mechanical energy into electrical energy. Okay, again DC output, DC excitation should be given to the rotor of the alternator. Usually we give DC excitation and we try to rotate the alternator by using the output of by coupling the output of the turbine to the generator. We try to rotate the rotor of the alternator. The main function is to supply DC power to the field system or rotor. The main function is to supply DC power to the field system or rotor. Okay, in order to supply power to the rotor, to use this supply. So this is about exciter. Almost all the components of thermal power plant which are involved in line diagram of thermal power station are covered successfully in this lecture. Up to this lecture, they are covered successfully. Okay, I mean, what all we have discussed are line diagram, various components, working of each component in thermal power station is discussed in detail, right? So I think coming to non-renewable power plants, this is the first non-renewable power plant which I have covered today in today's topic. Okay, so I have covered all the parts in non-renewable power plants. Okay, in thermal power plant, whatever the thermal power plant, I mean, what all the parts are there, the working, the principle of working, the operation. Okay, what all conditions are required, where a thermal power plant is should be installed. Everything regarding thermal power station, each and everything is almost covered along with line diagram, and explanation of each part of thermal power station has been completed. Thank you so much. Okay, we will meet in next lecture with a new topic of hydroelectric power station. Thank you so much.